This is the story of a man named Charles, an Italian immigrant who came to the United States in 1903 with $2.50 in his pocket and $1 million in hopes, who devised a clever plan to make money by exploiting a little loophole in an international treaty signed just 3 years after he stepped onto American soil. Charles first found work in a coal mine near Boston, where he met Rose Maria Gnecco, a stenographer, and they got married. He went to work for her family's small fruit stand, but when it failed, he decided it was time to go into business for himself. He had this idea to sell advertisements in a catalog that would be sent to businesses, and in the summer of 1919, he reached out to his contacts in Europe to see if there was interest. A few weeks later, he received a letter from a company in Spain asking for more information. Inside the envelope was an international reply coupon, something which he had never seen before. Charles wrote back and asked about the coupon his contact had used to mail the letter. He learned that these coupons could be purchased in the US and many European countries, and allowed someone to mail something internationally from any of those countries. International reply coupons were established by an international postage treaty in 1906. They were vouchers that could be traded for stamps in any country that signed the treaty, which included the US, Spain, and Italy, among others. The purpose of the coupons was to make it convenient for people to prepay international return postage without having to exchange currencies in small amounts, which was completely impractical. Remember, this is a time where mail was your only way of sending messages back home, so many people traveling to Europe would pick up these coupons before they left America, allowing them to send letters back home without worrying about foreign postage. And of course, people in Europe traveling to America would do the same. While most people thought this was just a nice convenience that made a minor expense simple, Charles saw an opportunity to make many millions of dollars. Arbitrage is the simultaneous buying and selling of securities, currency, or commodities in different markets in order to take advantage of differing prices for the same asset. The scheme Charles had in mind was to try to buy international reply coupons cheaply in one country, but then sell them for more money in another country. For example, suppose that the reply coupons were half the price in Italy as they were in the US. I could take 100 American dollars and convert them into Italian lira, and then use the lira to buy the reply coupons, and then ship them back to America. Since the treaty requires that America accept the Italian coupons, Charles could sell them at the American price and double his initial investment. The money-making potential was limited only by the amount of money he had to send to Italy to buy these coupons. There was one hang-up, though, which was the reason no one had tried this before Charles recognized the opportunity himself. In 1906, when the postage treaty was signed, all the countries involved had adopted a monetary system known as the gold standard. The US had adopted the gold standard in 1833 by fixing the price of gold to $20.67 per ounce. That meant if you had a $20 bill, you were able to go to a kiosk set up by the Treasury Department and exchange it for nearly 1 ounce of physical gold. This system prevented the creation of too much paper money, since the government didn't want to risk running out of gold reserves to pay those requests. More importantly for our story here is that when multiple countries adopt the gold standard, the exchange rate between their currencies becomes fixed. If I can convert my American money into a set amount of gold, and then I can turn that gold into a set amount of foreign currency, then the exchange rate is set to the ratio of each country's fixed price for gold. That meant that the postage treaty could set the prices of the coupons in each country so that they were the same price everywhere. You wouldn't be able to buy reply coupons in Italy and take them to America and sell them for more, because the prices were set in accordance with the exchange rates to make this impossible. But this turned out to be a double-edged sword. The prices of the coupons could not change, and that made arbitrage impossible unless the exchange rates changed. The writers of the treaty just never considered that that could happen. Then came World War I. Many countries abandoned the gold standard because they needed to print more money in order to pay for the war, and they didn't have the gold reserves to back it up. This meant exchange rates could float with the market, and the fixed prices of the international reply coupons suddenly presented a huge opportunity. By 1919, it was possible to spend only a few cents on reply coupons in Spain and Italy that could then be brought to the US and sold for a full dollar's worth of postage stamps. The only problem was that you had to transport the physical coupons from Spain and Italy to the US, which was costly. And then you needed to have a buyer who would pay the full US price. But Charles was convinced that the prices of the coupons had fallen so low in war-torn Europe that he would still have a healthy profit margin. Charles didn't have a lot of money, so he sought investors to put money into his plan. He established a new company in January of 1920 and reached out to friends and acquaintances explaining his plan to them. In the first month of operations, 18 people invested a total of $1,800 in Charles's system. Just 1 month later, he wowed them all by paying them back a total of $2,400, which was a 50% return. Mind you, if the stock market grows by 50% in a whole year, it's considered one of the best years ever. Charles had stumbled upon a rate of return higher than just about any other investment out there, and word spread quickly. After the initial success, investors poured in. People were mortgaging their homes and investing their life savings in the Securities Exchange Company. Most didn't even take their profits, opting to reinvest them to earn another 50% every 45 days. By June of 1920, 6 short months after starting the business, people had put $2.5 million in Charles's company, the equivalent of about $32 million today. And Charles was suddenly a millionaire, taking a cut of all the gains. He bought a beautiful mansion in Lexington, Massachusetts, and settled into the good life. But there was a problem, and there's a clue to it on the screen right now. Charles's success attracted a lot of attention, and some skeptics started to wonder how he was getting the coupons back to the US and converting them to cash. Even just the initial investment of $1,800 was enough to buy 53,000 postal coupons. How did he ship them so cheaply and turn them around so fast? By June, Charles had 15,000 investors, and he would have needed ships the size of the Titanic to actually transport all the coupons needed to be turning the profits he was claiming. A Boston finance writer suggested there was no way Charles could be pulling this off and claimed he was a scam artist. Charles insisted he was honest and just didn't want to give away his methods for fear that they would be copied. He sued the writer for libel and won. He got $500,000 in damages. Shortly after that, though, one of Charles's clients, Joseph Daniels, wanted to pull out his money to try to cash in on a gold rush, but Charles refused. Daniels sued him for his own money and lost, with the court saying that the agreement he signed with Charles did not allow him to pull out his money all at once like that. But customers got worried, and many demanded their money back, storming the company's offices. To calm their nerves, Charles walked out to the angry mob with a stack of money and paid them one at a time. moving down the line calmly and quelling their fears. But little did they all know that Charles was giving them the last money the company had, and he breathed a sigh of relief that enough people turned away and didn't ask for their money, that he had enough to cover the withdrawals. The company was now bankrupt. It was all a lie, because there's something I haven't told you, and that's Charles's last name. Ponzi. Charles Ponzi had started his scheme in January of 1920, but on November 1st of that same year, he pleaded guilty to fraud. His story was widely publicized, and while many had tried this scheme of lying about returns to keep new investor money pouring in before, from then on, it bore his name. Nevertheless, this is a story about trust. Our economic growth is powered by investment that's financed by borrowing money and paying it back with a little interest. That system incentivizes people to save money by rewarding them with a return on those savings. But for this system to work, people must trust each other. And from time to time, that trust fails, and the consequences can be dire.